All right. Well, I want to welcome and thank you for joining us for this last minute last call for the exhibition Conspicuous Satirical Works by Caroline Durieux. And this is an exhibit that's closing very soon, closing August 30th. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see this exhibition, you still have a little bit of time left to check it out. And if you're unfamiliar with Caroline's work, was a Louisiana printmaker, faculty at LSU, in the printmaking department, and a really great figure in printmaking history. Very prolific. She was a satirist who looked at society, and especially in this exhibit, we're looking at those conspicuous moments. So those people or instances that were meant to show off wealth or status. They were wanting to be seen and observed. And this is really kind of where this conversation is coming from. Looking at what is conspicuous in these works in New Orleans, Paris, Mexico City, and then what's conspicuous now in our society, which is kind of where we have these participatory artists. We have April Hammock here. She's a Baton Rouge artist. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, April?
Here I am.
There you are. There you are. So we have, this exhibition was meant to be participatory. We wanted to see what people considered conspicuous in their daily lives, or what they were seeing in their own community. So much of the time when we look at satirical work from the past, it loses its context to a point. We're not living in the same sort of time frame that we have these women in the hair salon, and they're very, armored and ready for battle to battle age. And we might still get glimpses of those themes in our contemporary times, but, we're not in that same moment. We're not observing the world at the same time as Caroline was creating these works. And so we wanted to see what artists were seeing through their own observations of Baton Rouge or their own communities. And so bringing together both these works by Caroline, who's master satirist and artist, through their own observations, we had this kind of now and then moment. So those prints that Caroline created, and then also works on paper that artists contributed to the exhibition. And so I just wanted to, start it off with April. And I just wanted to, have April introduce herself. Also, how she came to her image, what about Caroline's work inspired the work that she created for that submission. And then also, thinking about observation. I'm sure there's moments of observation that are important to your own practice. So.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. My apologies for doing this from my phone. As I was saying to Grant, I was having some difficulties with my computer, a relationship I've had with it for a while, and I think the relationship is about to end. It's okay. So as far as this concept, I'm an abstract artist, and I work from my imagination. The images I generated from my mind's eye, and I've been doing this for a long time. So to do something that is so specifically as far as theme, especially in terms of drawing something that is, in a sense, something that is from the environment, something I have observed as a person, from culture, a society kind of standpoint around here in Louisiana. That was a real challenge for me. I really had to think about it. and think about how would create this concept. How would I execute it? And I figured, well, I came to the conclusion that I'm probably going to have to really abandon what I do normally as an artist and really go into a different style of working and maybe dig deep as to the styles that I've practiced in the past, like drawing stuff and things that I've done years ago. And so I thought, well, what is something I see? What is something I've observed that's a little kind of funny and at the same time something that is in my perspective endearing, and it's uniquely Louisiana. Maybe it goes on other places, but I walk every day with my husband, and especially during the beginning of this unfortunate pandemic, I started seeing folks who went to the local, it's like a creek or a ditch. It's right underneath the bridge of just a block down from where we live. And it's, at first it seems a little odd that they would do that. I say, why would you do that? But they pull up in these really nice cars and vehicles. So it's not something I feel like they're doing because they need to do it for food. They're doing this for recreation, and doing this for fun. And I don't like to stare at people. So I just kind of glimpse at them and move forward. But I wanted to create something that expresses that spontaneity of that moment, but also expresses a little bit of just mild humor, but in a nice, light way, that they're fishing, but they're doing it for fun. They're doing it for recreation, to get together, for family. And I think that's uniquely a Louisiana thing. And it's really, quite, like I said, quite endearing to see that every day, at least for a while. It's not happening now so much, but it was going on a lot in the spring, where the cars would just, line up on the street, and the cops would come by and they were okay with it. They were like, okay, they're doing this for fun. And they had nice fishing rods and nice equipment. So it was kind of cute. I thought, well, that's something I can do in regards to this concept. And to do it maybe in a style like Matisse, with that kind of line work that I really like in a lot of his drawings and such. So, because I wanted to create that moment, and I didn't want to be too detailed and too rigid with the depiction of that moment.
Yeah, no, I think that's nice. And, even looking at this and thinking about some of the really simple prints and drawings that, for instance, that we have of Caroline in the exhibition, and it's which I think is the kind of timeless part of that work. You might not understand the specific social reference that she is, but how she's captured someone's face or expression, and it's like, okay, I know that person. I see that person at Rouse's, or that type of person. So I that simplicity of line captures that so nicely. I also and thinking about fishing in the creek or in the coulee or like that, and then throwing in the Slippies all you can eat. And it's I think about too, I went to college in Mobile, and we would drive down to Dolphin Island, and people would be crabbing on the piers, but you're also right next to all these seafood restaurants as well. And so it makes kind of a funny observation with that.
Mm.
So with your work, you're in a different realm. It's more abstract, and you're a painter. So how does and you were talking about you take these walks most days, and so how does observation play into what you do in your actual practice?
Well, I think that I don't just think about in terms of memories like visual, but also what I hear and what I smell. All those things are really important to me. as far as how I process that information and create my own little, worlds, I guess you can say, kind of my own interpretations of environments and my do it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I think, hmm, it's hard sometimes for me to talk about my own art.
Mhm.
I think I'm shifting into something else at this point. And I think this little this activity, this what I did with this particular I guess you can say project,
Uh-huh.
it made me think about maybe I should put a little bit more of my personality into some of my pieces, because I do have kind of an ironic way of looking at things. I thought, well, I should try that a little bit more and see how that plays into it. And so I think it's good to experiment and see what what different avenues you can take your work, and doing stuff like this, really thinking outside the box, kind of um, kind of prompted me to think, well, maybe I should try some avenues that would be a little bit more reactionary as far
Right.
as and cultural.
Right.
Act. Yeah, so this is
Yeah, no,
good.
that's always the great thing. And you're a teacher, so you know all about, projects and how they can challenge students. We're going to take a look at both Ross's work and Brian's. And since you know both of them, we might look at them together, and maybe you might have a little bit of context on their work as well, April.
Okay.
So we're going to pull up, and this was Ross's work, right? And Ross is a Baton Rouge Gallery member with you as well, and he's a printmaker. He primarily works in relief woodcut, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, mhm.
So he sent this really wonderful little this woodcut, and it's humorous in the way that we're seeing kind of these multiple ideas of the word breast, and we've got it's always the conversation on what can be seen and what cannot be seen, and we have the sunbathers in the back, and then the man coming out of the pool. Now, April, does he? Is this technically, like, mark wise, it feels like familiar to his work, but does what is he like personality wise? Is he like a humorous guy? Yeah.
Yeah, he has a subtle sense of humor,
Uh-huh.
but you have to pay attention to it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, and this is kind of like one of those, like, that kind of subtle slight humor, and it's kind of capturing a moment that if you weren't paying attention to the entire scene, that you might miss that humor, and kind of like policing bodies and clothing, and what happens with that. So this was Ross's submission for the gallery wall.
See if I can get a visual of that. Do you have a visual up?
Oh, I
No,
do. Can you not see the screen? Oh, maybe
I,
you're on your phone.
yeah, I don't see it. Oh,
Hmm,
here it is.
there
Yes.
you go. Yeah.
This, oh, wow. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go over to Brian Kelly's piece, and it's very. Can you see that, April?
Yes.
Yeah. So Brian teaches at UL, and he's a printmaker as well. And I think he definitely approached this in a different realm of satire. And so, we can look at satire as this this nudge about, like, social behaviors or, like, cultural behaviors, but we also think about satire being used politically, and what can you take from political issues, or how can, if you don't necessarily have that power, but you have that power to create work that in some way can be used to break things down in a way, right? Now, so and you know Brian as well. So, is there anything, you know, looking at this image, that is reminds you of the work that they do in general?
Oh, absolutely. This looks like Brian's work, not a doubt. I mean, and Brian is very vocal about politics, and you know, every time we get together, he talks a lot about his viewpoints and stuff. And so I think it's something he's deeply passionate about, and this definitely expresses that very much. And it's really neat piece. Just aesthetic. I mean, just the mark work is just really quite beautiful what he's done.
Right, and
Uh,
so
yeah.
this is a lithography similar in the way that Caroline Durieux worked, and before Ross was working in woodcut, but you know something, and I know that he's recently kind of re-engaged with her work a lot. I know he's kind of like a Caroline Durieux like freak about, you know, her work, and in a good way, because she is really prolific and her work is smart, and also just the techniques that she was experimenting with and working with the chemistry department on kind of these radioactive means of making prints and reviving old techniques. And so for me, you know, and I know Brian's work from the press at UL, and just that kind of attention to technique and detail and process, and could definitely see how they have that he has interest in her work as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see that relationship very much. And
right, right. So all of these works are in the exhibition right now, Conspicuous, and like I said, those are up until August 30th when the exhibition closes. So I, you know, really highly encourage you to take a moment. Our galleries are safe. We have distancing plans in place to make sure that we have a safe flow through the museum, as well as amounts of people that are asked to be in a gallery at one time. So if you do want a place to enjoy some works, this exhibition is up for another week. We also have Living with Art, which is from the collections of Baton Rouge art collectors, as well as our permanent collection. So lots of fun things to see in a safe space. I do, if we have any questions, we might open it up to questions for April or just in general about the exhibition. Feel free to either chat that or raise your hand function, and we'll unmute you for that.
So Adelaide Rousseau has a question.
sure.
She says, I was wondering if there was any direct contact with the Belgian woodcut tradition in any of the artists.
For me, I'm not really quite sure, because I'm not a printmaker. So I can't speak for Ross or Brian.
Do you have any other questions? Well, if we don't have any other questions, I want to thank you guys for coming today and participating in the talk. Like I said, those exhibitions are still up. And also, if you are looking for online resources, if you're a teacher, if you work with children, have children, and they're driving you insane, we have online resources on our website. We're about to start with virtual educator-led tours of the galleries that look at a couple of pieces in an interactive fashion, depending on the age range, as well as virtual demos and workshops that will be happening soon with permanent collection, but also our upcoming temporary exhibitions, Letitia Huckabee and Southbound project, both really great photography-based exhibitions. But once again, thank you guys for coming this afternoon, spending a little bit of time hearing about the exhibition. We hope to see you at the museum soon.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, April. Yes.
it.